Allow all attendees to hear you. This system will notify you once you begin your broadcast. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi Anshul. Hi Imran. Am I audible? I could not see your texts. Right. Yes. Imran and Anshul. Hey. Yeah. How are you guys doing? Cool. So let's wait for another couple of minutes probably. Let's see if the other person is joining us and we shall execute it. Okay. Are you all there, Anshul? Yep. Let's take it by another couple of minutes. Okay. Let's see if the other person is joining us or not. Hey Imran, I have a question. Which tools are used for CI and CD in Azure? Imran, you have VSTS. Now we call it as DevOps. Okay, the DevOps tool that we have in Azure. So probably you should Google for Visual Studio Team Services. Okay, so that you can use it. You have pipelines and all those things. So that should help for you. Okay. If I have to learn Azure DevOps, yes, that's what I mean, right? You have this tool. I mean, you can just search for VSTS, Visual Studio Team Services. Okay. Now they have brought lot many changes inside that. So you can just check for that. That's the DevOps tool which we are using. We now call it as Azure DevOps. There's no name called VSTS. Now it is called as Azure DevOps. Okay. Just search for Azure DevOps. Do we have training from Edureka on Azure DevOps? No, particularly for Azure DevOps, we don't have training from Edureka. I'm planning to run it on on Udemy. I'm planning to put some videos on it. So once when I run it over there, I will keep you posted. Okay, I will put an update to you. That's fine, Imran. I don't see any signs of the other person joining us, so let's start. Okay, it's going to be a short session. It's like about the Azure automation that you have it here. So let's start for the day. We will go up with the module which is about automation. Automating integration with Azure resource. So it is about Azure automation. Okay, so your Azure automation comes up with multiple flows. You have PowerShell, you have graphical things. Okay, you have all those things. Let's start across and we should see what are all the modules we will be going across here. Okay, so you will make sense about how to use Windows PowerShell, okay, to automate your Azure. steps, let's say any sort of thing, let it be like your Azure web app or your virtual machine, anything as such. Okay. So how we are going to use PowerShell to automate a particular sort of service. Okay. And then we will discuss about the REST APIs and the steps that we have to authenticate the API. Okay. We will write scripts where we go with Azure Runners account. We will work with connection to get authenticated, and we will work with the resource manager as well, where we will be creating resource groups and ARM templates. And finally, we will give an heads up about the Azure Cloud Shell. Okay, so this is completely about the CLI. We are going to work with CLI for today. Okay, and before I start with this, you should have an understanding about couple of things. Let me take stickies. Wait. So, as a overall thing, what you have here is, see, your Azure comes up with two portals, right? You should have heard about this. The old one was Windows Azure, and the new one what we have is Microsoft Azure, right? So this Windows Azure is where we did not add anything called resource manager, all these things. I mean, we did not add anything called resource group, only cloud services. Okay. So you can communicate with other services using cloud service. That's it. There's no access control where you can take it up using your resource manager or anything as such. And there were no open source commandlets. There were no open source support. Okay, there's no Linux machines or anything on an effective way which was running on Azure. So that's where we were in the days of Windows Azure. We used to go with manage.windowsazure.com. This was an old portal. Okay, this is the old portal what we had. And now we have Microsoft Azure, where you can go up with portal.azure.com. Okay, here we came up with something called Resource Manager. So a resource manager is where you have something called, okay, you should have heard this resource group, right? This will give you access for role-based access control. You can make a person as a contributor, an owner. You can get connected with multiple resources. You can manage the resource. Let's say if I'm going to create a resource for Edureka, let's say I'm creating some a 10 resource, I can put it on one separate isolation called as Edureka resource group, and I can put it on any data center location, irrespective of my resource being at any sort of data center region. So that's where we came up with something called resource group. Now, following these things, Microsoft Azure started working with two sort of commandlets. One is the normal PowerShell that we had. Okay, so this we call it as Windows PowerShell. You should, if you're using your Windows 10 machine, by default you should find there's something called Windows PowerShell on your machines. This will not work for any resource manager commandlets. I repeat it, resource manager is nothing but your ARM, Azure Resource Manager. You have a schema representation, you have a JSON representation. Okay, so all these commandlets will not work on the normal PowerShell. So for that, what Microsoft did is they came up with an update on modules, which you call as PowerShell ISC. So this is probably for Microsoft Azure PowerShell. Okay, so this is PowerShell ISC. This can work with all ARM things. This will not work. So that makes the major difference. The second one can work with ARM. The top one, I mean the normal PowerShell, is not going to work for it. So that's why we came up with a service manager and the other one called as Azure Resource Manager. Let's now make sense. Okay. So you will have a couple of things on the Azure PowerShell. One, why do we need to go for PowerShell is that, as you guys know, it's just like commandlets. You're going to run a command. You can create any sort of resource, any number of resources you need. Okay. You don't need to rely on whether you need to go for the portal. You have to say, click here, click create, give resource manager name, give resource group name, data center location name. It's not like that. Okay. You're just going to give the scripts and it's going to work at one sort of provisioning. The second thing what you're going to do here is, once when you create a, let's say, a virtual machine, you can use the same script where you can change the names alone. You can change the names as, let's say, a VM name, a nickname, a virtual network name, the address of the virtual network, the subnets, all these things. And you can repeat the automation scripts for multiple number of virtual machines to be created. So Azure PowerShell is an effective way where you go, you just say that I need to create all these things just at one stretch and you create steps. Okay, it's obviously for repetitive things. Okay, and it can call any sort of resource. It can call any sort of even Linux machines to be created. So here as a base, what you need to do is that you should understand what are the different sort of PowerShell versions you have. One is the Azure Service Manager, that is Windows PowerShell, and the other one is the Azure PowerShell with your ISE. Okay, this gives you control over your role-based access. This gives you control over your open source commandlets. Okay, all these things. So let's make sense. I will go for the virtual machine which we have already created. Okay, I'm using a Mac here, so I'll go to the virtual machine and I will show you from where you can access the normal PowerShell, where you can access the PowerShell ISE. Okay, so let's start this machine. Okay, let's get connected. Excuse me. Yep, there we go. Right. So here, let me go across here. You should find, see, we have Windows PowerShell. Okay. So when you go for this Windows PowerShell, and if you want to log in, you need to give Azure. Okay. This is a normal commandlet. So you need to go here and you have to say Azure login. Oh, let's say login Azure. This is like old one. I forgot the commands. Let's say Azure. Mhm. Excuse me. Okay, looks like I have installed the resource manager things. See, the problem here is I will quickly go here and I will show you. See, this is working for the new PowerShell. The reason is I have installed a resource module here. You can find it. See, Microsoft Web Platform Installer. I'll show you from the scratch. Okay, don't worry, but I'm just giving an heads up here. See, I will search for cross-platform. Okay, so can you find this? You have Microsoft Azure cross-platform, right? So this was the old PowerShell which we are working, and it stopped the service for running the old commands. The old commands were Azure login. Okay, it's like CLI, and now we have the new one. So what you need to do as a base stuff is that you have to go for, see, I will tell you from the scratch. Okay, I told you you have two sort of PowerShells here. The normal PowerShell is what you have here as Windows PowerShell. You need to go for Google Chrome. Okay, go for Azure dot, sorry, Azure dot Microsoft dot com. I'm sorry. Yes. So go here and click on more. You can find resources. And here again, scroll down, you can find downloads. Scroll down yet, you should find PowerShell Windows install. So click on this, you will get this file. Okay, run this file. This is where we are installing the resource manager. So here what will happen is that each of the APIs will have their own pros and the cons. Okay, But here you need to understand that you have to go with a cross-platform compatibility to overcome all the pros and the cons. Okay. The reason is you when you create a resource in Azure, you get a REST API, isn't it? Whenever you create a resource, you get a REST API. That is, for example, I will say uh, imran.azurewebsites.net. That's a REST API. Imran storage.azurewebsites.net. So that's all like different sort of REST APIs what you get it over there. Okay. So see, this is already installed, Microsoft Azure PowerShell. So this is up to your heads up. Now, if you want to go from the scratch, I will create a VM and I will show you. Okay, give me one sec. See, I'm creating a VM here with a Windows machine. Let's go with a Windows Server 2016 VM. I will put it on the resource group, a new resource group. I'll create a new resource group here. Let's name it as Edureka. Okay. I'll name this machine as Edureka VM. Availability options, I no need all these things. I'll just go for DS1 V2. So here, let's select the ports. Okay, you can try this, just makes sense. And I will say disk. Let's go for a hard disk, standard hard disk. I'll click on next. Here I'm going to create it. Let's wait until it gets deployed. Okay, once after it gets deployed, I will show you the PowerShell what we have here. If someone has some questions. Which code is used in the background to create VMs? Here it is JSON, Imran. In Azure, by default, it's going to be JSON scripts. Yeah. Well, I have this VM now. I'll just get connected. Okay. So, oops. I hope it's still getting created. Okay, what's the problem on this? Yes, there we go. Sorry for the trouble. It was some connectivity problem. So here we go. Okay, this is a fresh machine that we have. And here you should be able to see that we will be having a PowerShell by default. Okay. And we will also work on installing the modules, which is for cross-platform. That is your Azure Resource Manager one. Okay. So let's go ahead. Just stop me if you're not able to understand. Okay. Right. Okay. I'll go for the local server. I'll turn off this IE and security configuration. Okay. So now let me make sense for you guys. A normal PowerShell what you have here. Okay. So this is Windows PowerShell. You go here and here you should find, wait, it's getting loaded. Yep. When I give Azure here, let's wait. It should give you some details on Azure. So it looks like they have removed it. Login Azure, Azure login. Okay, so this was some command. Okay, it was like long time which I have worked here, but I remember it's like Azure login. Fine, let's go up with the normal one. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'll just quickly go and I will say that I need to connect with the cross-platform stuff. Okay, so here in the slide you can find. I'm sorry to make you guys confused with this. Okay, don't get messed up with these things. See, this is manage.windowsazure.com, which we are working. Okay, and we were going for Azure. Can you find this? The Azure PowerShell module itself is simply called Azure. But now it looks like they have stopped the service. So Azure is not working here. Now, what we will do is that we have to go for the installing the modules. Here you can find that we need to install Azure RM module. Okay, you have to install this Azure Resource Manager module. The either way that you can do is you should go for Internet Explorer. Okay, as I showed you, you should download the probably excuse me, you need to download the Windows PowerShell, which I showed you. Okay, so what you can do is it's getting loaded. Azure.microsoft.com. You go here and you can download it. You can install it manually. Okay, or if you want to go with the CLI one, you can just go here and you can say the commandlets for which you can go with installation. So what you need to do is you say install module Azure RM. Okay, give this, it will install all the modules on your Azure RM. So I repeat, you have two things where you can go for a resource and here you can do it. Okay, so you have it on the downloads. From here you can do it. See, we have this PowerShell Windows install. The other way is you can just say install module. So it's asking whether you need to install it. Say yes to get it installed. Okay. See, do you want to install the PowerShell and import the NuGet provider? I'll say Y, which is about yes, and it gets installed. Let's say yes to get it downloaded from the repository. I should have given yay. Okay, let's make it. Imran, it's not about CLI, Imran. CLI is completely a different one. Okay, previously we had this. That's what I showed you on this slide. Okay, we had something called Azure. Okay, but now it looks like they have stopped the service for it. See, can you find this? We just had Azure. So now they have removed it. They are just completely working on Resource Manager. The old service portal is stopped. Yep. Let's wait for this installation. So once after this gets installed, I will give you the commandlets where we can log into the Azure and you can find it. Okay, I mean you can log into the Azure account using the command called login-Azure RM account. So this is one PowerShell that you can find, and the one which you were speaking about, the ARM templates, all you can go with Windows PowerShell ISE. So from there you can write the scripts and you can execute it. Okay, your JSON scripts. See, it's getting installed. Let me know if you have any questions meanwhile. Excuse me. Yes, there we go. So it has installed all these factors. Okay. Now I will go to the PowerShell. So what you can do is you go to the run. Okay. Let's go to run. I'll say PowerShell underscore ISC. And from here you can log into your Azure account. So I told you, right? You have, see, this is a normal one where you write the commandlets. This ISC is where you write the JSON scripts, your ARM templates, and you run it for multiple times. So I will just quickly say I need to go for login hyphen. Okay, Azure C, you get the intelligence, Azure RM account. And here you can sign in. So I need to go for developer.feroz@outlook.com account. How this ID came. Imran, go for, see, in start you can find Windows PowerShell, or go for, if you want to run it as admin, go for run, give PowerShell underscore ISC. Okay. No, I mean from command prompt. I did not go for command prompt. I just went for this run, not for command prompt. Are you clear, Imran? Cool. Yes, here we go. I have logged in. And here what I will say is, I'll just say get hyphen, okay, Azure RM account. So this means that I need to get all the resource manager accounts. Why, what happened? Uh, get hyphen Azure, sorry, subscription. I'm very sorry. So get hyphen Azure RM subscription. This will get all the subscriptions what I have on this particular account. Okay, see, I have Visual Studio Enterprise and I have DreamSpark. So same, if I want to get a resource group, get hyphen Azure RM resource group. Okay, so that's how it works. You can make sense, right? You see, you have RM, which is resource manager. Okay, so you can use that to run the commands. So that's about your resource manager. So I repeat, you have two things where you put it across. One is your normal PowerShell, and the other one is PowerShell ISC. Okay, PowerShell ISC is where you give all the cross-platforms compatibility. You run the cross manager commands, you run the resource manager commands, and you can get all the things listed out. To make sense in detailed way, at the right, you can find in the command section, you have all the resource manager commands. It supports for all the APIs. It supports for VMs, traffic manager. It might be any resource what you have in Azure. It's going to work out here. Are you clear, guys? Any questions? Any questions until this? Hey, Mictor and Monisha. Anshul, any questions? Can I go for Azure Automation? Okay, heads up. So here you should find something called as Azure Automation. So Azure Automation is one another service. Okay, I can show you here. Okay, we are going to work with Azure Automation now. So let's go to the Azure portal, and when I go for create a resource, you can find for something called Azure Automation. Azure Automation helps you to automate the things. Okay, you no need to, let's say that you have a standalone VM and you need to make the VM to be on by 10 a.m. You need to stop the VM by 11 a.m. That's like IRCTC timing or anything. So what you can just quickly go here and you can do is that you can run the commands, you can say the commands, and you can schedule the process using run books. So automation is where it's going to automate the services, it's going to automate the operations. Either it might be for scaling personality, it might be for stopping the service. Like, let's say, for an example, if some SQL injection is going to happen on your SQL database, you need to stop the Azure SQL server which is running across. So in those sort of chavos or in those sort of scenarios, you can just quickly go for Azure Automation and you can do it. Okay, so that's where we go with Azure Automation. So Azure Automation helps you to run the workflows. You can run the commands, you can run the operations using two ways. One is the PowerShell one. Just like this, you're going to run the PowerShell commands, you're going to save it, and you're going to say make it as automated. The other way is that you can quickly go. You can, if you're not aware about the PowerShell comments or anything, you have something called graphical. You have a graphical PowerShell workflow. You can drag and drop the menus and you can make it to be available. That's the second way what you can work. Okay. So let me go ahead and I will show you how we can work on this. Okay. So this Azure Automation account is going to be created from the portal and we are going to store some runbooks over here. So let's go for automation. I'll click on create and let's create the automation. Okay. So this is the automation account. I'm going to say it's going to be Edureka automation. Okay. And resource group, I'll put it on the same resource group where we have created before. Location is going to be Southeast Asia. Runners account gives you the authorization towards the Active Directory, your role-based access, all these things. Okay, so that's a feature which has been added up newly. You can say yes to create it as runners account. So once when I create this, you will get something called run books. Okay, so what will happen here is I'm going to work with Azure Automation. So once when you create this, you will get something called run books. Run books by default is a tutorial which you will be discussing about what you can do with the run books, all these things. And inside this run book, you will have multiple types as PowerShell, graphical one, okay, all these things. So you can use any of these things to create a service. Okay, let's wait for this deployment. Right, it has been created. Well, so we shall go here for the resource groups. I will go for Edureka and you should find Azure Automation here. See, Edureka Automation is one, and this is all tutorial which I was speaking about. So you have the run books on multiple things, which is tutorials. Okay, you can go to this automation, and inside automation you can find run books and assets. See, this is run books. Can you find this? So inside this run books, you can create multiple run books. Okay, it can be number of things what you're going to create. If you're not aware about it, you can even create it from the templates. That is the gallery. So I'll give you the heads up about what this run book is. You should have already seen when we created, yeah, even here you can see that we have this run books, right? So most of those are the modules that are automatically created, whatever you find here. And you can create your own run books as well from the scratch by clicking on add a run book. If you're not aware about creating a run book, you can click on browse gallery and you can create it from the templates. So either way, you go from the scratch or from the template, you can find two things, which is a graphical run book and a PowerShell run book. Okay, you can run it on any one of these things. So what you can do is you can just click on add a run book. You can give a run book name and you can create it. I'll create it. Okay, keep this on hold. Meanwhile, I will just go here and I will help you to make sense on this assets. What you can find it here. Okay, so Azure Automation account contains 6 types of assets which you can find it here. One is the schedules, what you have here, modules. Okay, you have something called certificates. You have variables that you can create, and then you have the credentials. Okay, finally, you should have something called connections as well. So this is all assets where you can add any of the assets towards a run book. You can add it or you can delete it. Let's say you can give an input. Okay, so all these things can be done with assets. I will detailedly explain you each and every of these things. Okay, schedule is where, although technically it's not an asset, okay, the schedule is going to allow you for executing the run books. Okay, you can create a run book here. You can say you can schedule it for every day by 7 a.m. or every day by 7 p.m., something like that, for an example. Okay, so that's where we work with schedule. The next comes modules. Module is about importing the modules. Okay, it allows you to import the modules on the PowerShell libraries. Same like what we were doing on the normal PowerShell. Okay, you can reduce a lot of code rewriting. Okay, you no need to write the code for each and every time for the objects which you want to declare. So you have all the preloaded modules here, and using that you can go ahead. So that's modules. Then you have this one, certificates. Okay, certificates can be stored securely in Azure to use it on runbooks. You know this DSC configurations, right? So you have a preloaded certificates for each and every subscription, for each and every connection that you give it, so that you can store it over here. Even the SSL certificates if you're working on a web app. Then comes your variables that you can find it here. Variables are used to store the persistent variables. Normally, when we create something, we give the variable like, let's say, a dollar connection, something like that, isn't it? We declare that. So that sort of variables you can represent it over here, which can be number of variables that you can put it across. Then comes connections. Connections can contain information which are required to connect to an external resource. Let's say you have the API, right? You have Twitter API, you have Facebook APIs. So to get connected with those things, you can use connections. Even for other cloud accounts. Let's say if you have your virtual machine, one of your VM which is running it on premise, then you can use this connection to get connected. Finally, you have this credentials. Credentials are also variables. Okay, they store your PowerShell credential objects. What they will be doing here is that they have a special category where they can also go outside the variables and they can declare the values. Okay, so that's why we use credentials. Let's say for a storage account or for a SQL database, something like that. Okay, so in those cases, we will be using credentials. Are you clear about these things? Any questions? Imran, are you going to show demo on each of these? Yes, of course, Imran, we are going to work on it. Okay, cool. Thanks, Monisha. Thanks for responding. Now I am left off with these two things. Okay, I did not speak about modules and module gallery. So module is nothing but you can go here, you can find the number of modules which we have here. You should find Azure Storage, right? Uh, when I installed modules here in this PowerShell, you should have seen this, right? So it's getting executed from unknown repository. Same you have it from here. Okay, it speaks about the versioning what you have it here. So that's about modules. Okay, this we call it as a preloaded modules. Okay, and to explore more you can find the certificates as well. Azure, you created Azure runners account, right? You can go for certificates and you can find see Azure runner certificate. You have Azure classic runner certificate. Classic is an older one. Okay, now let's go to the demo. Let's try creating Azure Automation account. I mean runbooks, all these things. And here I will call all these things what we have. Okay, the scheduling, all these things. So let me make a note for you guys. I'm going to work on Azure Automation demo part, where first I'm going to create new runbook. Okay, then I will add some code to the runbook. That is your PowerShell code. Let's test the runbook. Okay, the one which we are going to develop, and then we will publish it and we will start the runbook. Finally, we will add authentication for the same. Okay, and we shall start a virtual machine. Next, we shall write a runbook to start a VM, and we can also work with going for scheduling all these things. Okay, shall I go to the demo? Any questions before going to the demo? Okay, cool. So now I'll go to the runbooks here. Okay. And here in the runbooks, I'm going to click on add a runbook to create a runbook. Okay, a new runbook. So let's create a new runbook by clicking on add a runbook account and here create a new runbook. Okay, you need to give a runbook name here. So let's give the runbook name as, for example, Edureka runbook. Okay, and the runbook type here you can find we have multiple types as PowerShell, graphical, PowerShell workflow. Workflow is like logic apps. You have a workflow over there. Okay, I will go for a PowerShell workflow here and let's click on create to get it created. So once when this gets created, you should find a coding pane. Okay, here you should get a coding pane where you're going to add your codes. So see, here you are. Now the runbook is currently empty. Okay, you need to add the keywords into your runbook. It just has a workflow and it says the runbook name what we created. Now let me write a hello world here. Okay, let's write it as write output. Okay, I'll say hello guys from CodeSizzler. Okay, so I'll put it across and see, you can find it here, right? I can click on save to save it and I can run the test. So you can click on test pane to see whether the output is going to get it or you are going to have some execution bugs or something like that. So let's click on test pane and I can click on start to get the test to run. So it has been queued. Once after it gets completed, you will get the output at the below pane. Right, there we go. Hello guys from CodeSizzler. Okay, so this is where we create a runbook and we get the status to be displayed. Are you clear? Right. So get some 10 minutes of time. Okay, take some 10 minutes. I am giving this display for you where I have given the code. Okay, try executing this. Have a heads up. Okay, then we can go for the next one. Okay, so then the next demo is where I am going to work with publishing this. I will show you the output. Okay, and I will work on starting the VM, stopping the VM like that. Okay. Hi Anshul. Commands for the runbooks. See, you have commandlets here. Can you find this? If you're not aware of the commands, you can go for commandlets. Here you can search for the commands. Is that okay, Anshul? Right. Go ahead, try with creating a runbook, a PowerShell workflow runbook. Write this hello world. Okay. Let me know if you have any questions. If not, we can go for the next. Okay. Give us a basic list of commands. Anshul, basic lists or okay, I will write the commands. Okay, in the next demos, I'll write the commands. You can take a note of it when I write it. Okay, as of now, try with this hello world. I'm going to write the commands to retrieve the connection and all these things. So there you can make sense. Okay, that's fine, Anshul. Imran, any questions? Cool. Makes sense, Imran, and let me know if you have any questions. Have you all done? Okay. Any questions, Monisha? Cool. How about others? Imran, Anshul, Maktar? Yeah. Any questions, Anshul? Okay. Well, I hope we shall go for the next one then, right? Okay. So let's step on to the next one where we are going to publish this. Okay. You can find something called publish here, right? Publish is where you're going to prompt it to get published. Okay. You're going to publish the run book. So once when you click on publish, you can find the exact output. Here, what we did is the testing, right? So you can go for publish. It's going to publish the version of this. You can click on yes to publish it. So publish runbook and you click on start to start the runbook operation. You can find output here. See? So when you click on the output here, you would be able to find the output, what it's getting loaded as such. Okay, you can also find the job summary, right? So let me first complete this and then I will show you job summary. See? Hello guys from CodeSizzler. And the other thing that you have is the job summary, what you find it here. Okay, when it gets run, the logs, what you have here. Okay, so you can find all these things here. Now you can click at all logs to open the streams main for the runbook jobs. So this is the output, what we got it. It's a summary, what you get it across over here. Okay, as head of CodeSizzler. Now, let's move for the authentication to manage the Azure resource. Okay, so this is just a hello world what we did. Now I'm going to edit it and I'm going to work on adding the connections for authentication on the runbook. Okay, so let's go here for the runbooks. I'll use the same runbook here. Let's click on edit runbook. And surely you can take a note of it. You were asking about it. Let me go for Edureka runbook. Okay, I'll click on edit. And here I'm going to remove this hello world. So let's remove this and I'm going to give the variable. See the variable which we were seeing there, right? Connection equal to get hyphen automation. I'll say connection. Okay. So you can, I hope you can make sense. Get automation connection is to get the connection. Okay. Okay. You can make sense here. Okay. When you get time, just make sense here. In Azure, you can find the connection commands. Okay. It would take a bit time. Let's wait or else. See get, right? And you scroll down, you have plenty of commands here. You can check for it, Anshul. Okay, you have all these commands here. So I'm going to say get the automation connection and I will name it as Azure runners connection. Okay, and I'm going to say add the Azure RM account. So you're going to get the connection and you're going to add the resource manager account with the service principal for the same. Sorry, service principal. Okay, tenant dot tenant ID. So I'm going to retrieve the tenant ID and I'm going to call it for the application ID. Okay, so let's say application ID. It's the same command, but it takes a long, so I'm just adding it on the next line. So variable called it application ID, right? And certificate, the one which we declared there, thumbprint is connection dot certificate thumbprint. Okay, so let's add this. I will click on save to save this runbook. And let's click on test pane to check whether we will get any errors or what. So what should happen here is it should get connected for the Azure account. That is the one which I have logged in here. Okay, and it should give me the context for it, the subscription ID, all these things. So let's click on start. So once after it gets completed, you should be able to see. Can you find this? See, we have localhost, we have the source job instance ID, okay, and we are getting the context. I hope you are able to follow, right? Hey guys, are you there? Anshul, Monisha, are you able to follow? Any questions? Yes. Okay, fine. Thanks. Thanks for that. So now what you guys can do is you just go here, okay, take a note of this command, what I have written here. Okay, you can check it later. You can try running it later. I will complete another demo and you can try it. Okay, just take a note of it as of now. Because I'm going to write followed by this with a start Azure RMVM account. Okay, so take a note of it. Let me know if you have taken a note of it. Okay. Meanwhile, give me one sec. I will just open up the another. Okay, you go ahead. I don't want to disturb you guys. Go ahead, please. Take a note of it. Done. Cool. So now I'm going to add a code to start the VM. Okay, I'll open a new portal and I will show you. There's a VM which we created and the VM is at stop status. Okay, it's getting loaded. One sec. So let me go for virtual machines. Okay, and you should be able to find something called Edureka VM here. So I'm going for this Edureka VM. Okay, and in this portal, you should find the status is stopped. It's getting loaded. See, status is stopped, right? You don't have the IP address, all these things. Now I'm going to start this VM. Okay. Remember, the status is at stop, and I'm going to start this VM, okay, using PowerShell. So what I will do here is I need to go for the PowerShell workflow, and I'll just give the command here saying that I need to start hyphen Azure RM VM. Okay. And the name, it's going to be, what's the name? Edureka VM, right? Yeah, the name is Edureka VM. Okay, so let's give that name. And I need to represent the resource group as well. So resource group name is Edureka. Okay, so let's list out that. And now I will run this. So I can click on save. So I have retrieved the connection. Okay, and once after I retrieve the connection, I'm going to say that I need to start this VM. So now it is on stop status. Okay, stop is disabled. Let's click on the test pane, and I'll click on start to start it. Okay, so this is testing. This will start the VM. Okay, and you will get the output here listed out. Yes. Can you find this? Success status code true. And now let's go here. Let's refresh this. See, the machine has been started. You can find the IP address. Can you find this metrics? CPU consumption. Okay, so it has been started. Now you can go ahead, you can say that I can even publish it. I can say publish, and let's update. Okay, the version is getting updated now, so you can publish it here. Are you clear, guys? Right, yep. So now what you can do is try creating a VM. Okay, and go ahead, give these commands. Okay, I'm going to list this command to you. Go here, take a note of this command, and try running this. Okay, let's roll out for this. So take some 10 minutes of time, roll out this, okay, and then we can go for adding the parameters, all these things. Have you all done? Hey guys, have you all done? Yes. Thanks, Manisha. Thanks, Anshul, for the update. Well, let's now work on adding some inputs. Okay. So inputs in the sense, before I run some commandlets, okay, before I execute some automation stuff, I need to get some input box where I need to give the VM name, resource group name, all these things. Okay. So to add that, what I can do is I can just go for this workflow, and here I can represent the parameters. So let's say parameter, okay, and let's open the braces. Here I'm going to say it's going to be a string data type, okay. So it's string, and let's set the variable named as VM name, okay. And I need the other one, which is also a string, which is going to be the resource group name, okay. So this is another variable, resource group name. So let's give this, and I will click on save, and let's go for the test pane to test it, okay. Can you find this? You have a VM name, you have resource group name now. So saving the runbook and opening this test pane will help you to get these two input variables. Okay. You can close the test pane and you can check with publishing it. Okay. So before publishing it, what you need to do is you just come here, you remove this. Okay. You no need to give this. Okay. Over here. Instead, what you can say is you can just call the variables. For hyphen name, give the variable that is VM name, which we have declared at the top. So say VM name, okay. And for the resource group name, let's remove this, and let's say resource group name, okay. And instead of start, I'll give stop because the machine is already running now. See, the machine is already running now. So let's stop this. Are you able to follow? Anshu, Monisha, Imran? Right. Thank you. Thanks for the update. So let's click on save for this. Okay. And I will go for the test pane, and I will show you that we have the parameters there. So let's go for test pane, and see, we have it here. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'll go for publishing. Okay. Uh, Let's go. Let's say publish. Let's click on yes to publish it. And I'll click on start to start the operation. It's asking for VM name and for the resource group name. VM name is Edureka VMMs, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, that's right. Edureka VM and resource group name is Edureka. Okay, let's click on OK and we are submitting the runbook. So input, we have given two things. Okay, you can click on output to see the output. See, here we have the localhost, all these things. Okay, let's go for the dashboard. Let's refresh this and we shall see what happened. That's not stopped it. It's running it. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's stop it and we shall see starting it across. There might be something which I have to configure on the connection string, so better I will make it queued. CS operation is at queued. Let's it has started the VM. Let's go for the runbook and I'll make it as start. Okay. Let's make it as start Azure VM. Let it get stopped completely and then I will do it. Right, so it has stopped. Okay. Now let's try running it. Okay, let's go for test pane. Let's give the VM name. So VM name is supposed to be Edureka VM. Resource group is Edureka, right? Right. Let's click on start. Okay, status is true now, and now you should find refresh. Yep, it has started. Okay, so this is how you can add the input parameters. And now the VM is started. You can schedule the runbooks as well. Okay, so what you can do is you just go here. You can find scheduling. See, schedules is there. So to schedule a runbook in Azure Automation, you need to give a specific time, okay, a start time, and you have to link your Azure runbook over there. So a schedule can be configured to either you need to run it once or you need to run it recurrently, like for each and every hour or daily, like that. Okay, so you can configure all those things on scheduling. So let's go for schedules. Okay, and you can select the assets here. No schedules found. Let's click on add a schedule and let's go here. Create a new schedule. I'll say Azure or Edureka schedule. Okay. So we are giving a start time, all these things, and it's going to be as per Indian Standard Time. So let's say it's going to be IST. See, I told you recurrence, right? You can say recurring and for how many hours you can keep it here. Let's say once and I'll click on create to get it created. Now parameters and run settings. Okay, you need to give it your, let's say Edureka. Okay, VM name is Edureka VM and resource group is Edureka. You can click on OK and again click on OK, so it's getting linked. The runbook is linked to the schedule. So this will get executed at 10:30 p.m. So what you can do is you can stop this and by 10:30 you should find it gets rolled out. Okay, it will run the operation. So that's where we go for scheduling. Okay, and yep. So the other one that you can find is like jobs. You can find the jobs which are executed, the history, all these things. Here you have that. Completed jobs, the ongoing jobs, all these things. Were you clear until this, guys? Right. So the further parameters what we have here is, see, we were discussing about PowerShell, isn't it? The other way that you can put it across is you can find gallery. You can go for browse gallery, and from gallery you can do this. So what I will do here is I will go for the gallery. I will say that I need to, is the VM is running or it has stopped? Let's check. It's stopping. Okay, it has successfully stopped. Let's say we have to start the VM. So now I'm not aware about writing the commands or anything. I'm just going with the templates what we have here. You have plenty of templates here. You can use any of these things. Okay. So we have Azure Audit Report. You can change the NSG, site recovery, migration. Okay. Let's go for starting the Azure VMs. I'll click on import. You can find it here. See, it's it's get runners connection. Okay, you're connecting to Azure. You're going to get either single VM or you're going to call all the VMs what you have here. You're going to merge the VMs together as per the recurrence what you have. And once after merging the VM, you're going to get the VM status. Either it's if it is already in started state, then it will say that the VM is already running. So that's what we have here. Notify already started. And then you have start VM. So if it is not, if it is under stop status, then it's going to start the VM and then it's going to pass a notification for you, either with a pass status or with a failed status. So there we go. Now I will give the VM name a start, I mean runbook name a start Azure V2 VM. And this is like blocked for you because it's a graphical runbook, which is a template. Let's click on OK to get it added. So it's importing from the gallery icon. Import succeeded. See, start Azure V2 VM. And let's go for edit. You can find it here. Okay, you have all these things what we were discussing. So when you click on this, you can find the values, the parameters, all these things. Now you can go for input and output. Here you can find the VM name what we are going to give. Okay, if you want to add input, you can click on add input and you can do that. Let's say test pane, and here it asks for the resource group, all these things. Let's say the resource group name is Edureka resource group. Okay, so Edureka, sorry, just Edureka, and VM name is Edureka VM. This Azure connection is it's optional. Let's not give it here. And I'll click on start to run it. We have to configure a connection string over here, but still this can work. Let's see. Okay. Edureka VM failed to start error. Let's see. Sometimes there might be problem due to connection string, but it has started. See, CPU metrics you can find it, and the start option is disabled. Okay, this is because of connection strings. Okay, we are not given the connection asset name here. but where is it working here? Okay, so that's about graphical runbook. Are you clear, guys? So try making sense of this. We still have the last part, which is Azure Cloud Shell. By that, we will come to the end of this session. Okay, just make sense about this graphical runbook as well. This is not on the module. Okay, I can show you the slides here. I just went with this for your knowledge. Okay, so see, we have Azure Automation, creating the automation account. Okay, runbooks, assets, preloaded modules, performing Azure automation. So we are done with all these things, adding input, all these things. So we just have Azure Cloud Shell alone. Hey Imran, what all the options we have in graphical runbook? Like we saw to start VMs. Yes, we have to start the VMs. Probably this is on the hands of Azure. So I cannot tell you this is like templates. Okay. You have to go here and you need to check what all the templates we have here. You can check for browse gallery. Azure will be keep on updating here. It's like a marketplace. So can you find here? Even the other guys can update it. You have one of a person who has uploaded it. So anybody can write and they can upload it over here. You can search. Is that okay? It's a marketplace. Are you clear, Imran? Imran, are you there? Okay, cool. So we can also create our own and we can keep it in the marketplace. Yes, you can create your own and you can push it on the gallery what you have it here. That has to pass the testing, okay, by the Microsoft team and then it will be available here. Well, so just make sense with the slides. We went through this creating runbook. Okay, I'll just have a walkthrough for you guys. We created this runbook, okay, a PowerShell workflow runbook, and we were writing this Hello World program, and we were also working on testing this runbook, okay, publishing the same, and we had a job summary to check about it, the output, okay, and we made the authentication where we were calling the connection and then we were starting the VM. Okay, so the same just been written here, start Azure RM VM. And the next what we add here is about the adding the parameters, okay, for the inputs. So we gave the same VM name and the resource group name, and we tried starting the VM again. This is about scheduling the runbooks where we were working with scheduling. Okay, so it gets executed by 10:30. So that was the demo which we are working. And finally, we have Cloud Shell. Okay. Now you guys just make sense about the graphical thing. Once if you're done with it, let's go for the Cloud Shell. Meanwhile, shall we have a quick break for 15 minutes, guys? Yep. Thanks, Imran. Thanks, Monisha. So let's join by 15 minutes, okay? Hey guys, shall we go for the next? Yep, thanks. So the final topic for today is about the Cloud Shell. Okay, so Cloud Shell is exactly where it's like an inbuilt CLI which you have it on the Azure environment. Okay, and this provides a platform for you to run any sort of resource. Either you can run it with PowerShell or you can run it on a Bash environment. Okay, so probably you guys, I guess you people of Windows users, you would be going for PowerShell. If you're from open source environment, then you can run it from the Bash. Okay. So you can find this on the Azure portal. In your Azure portal here, see, can you find this? You have the Cloud Shell at the top. So when you click on this, you will get this Cloud Shell window open. So here, once when it gets loaded, you can find two things. One is PowerShell and the other one is Bash. You can go with anything. Okay, and this what it will be doing is that it will create a resource group, it will create a storage account, and it will also create a file share. So you'll be having three things over here. You can mount your files over here. See, it's going to create Azure Cloud Shell. It will create all these things. It's asking you whether you need to go with a PowerShell or with a Bash environment. I'll say I need a PowerShell. It's going to create a storage account for that. So this will be available on your home directory. Okay. Once when it gets done, I will show you the cloud drive. So you can either mount it or you can remove it. Okay, you can do all those things here. Well, switching to PowerShell from Bash, right? So we got this, and you can say cloud drive. Okay, so you give it here as cloud drive. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's give cloud drive hyphen h. Right, so it gives you the command. So you can manage the stores, and either you can mount it or you can unmount all your file share. So when you create this, there will be a file share which will be created. Okay. Imran, both are of same Imran, PowerShell or Bash. Okay, it's all CLI. It's going to support for all the services what you have here. So I will go for the resource group here and I will scroll down. You should find the resource group. Give me one sec. Let's refresh this. See, Cloud Shell Storage, Central India. And this is the file share which I was speaking about. So inside this storage account, you have files. And here, see, CS Developer Fero Outlook. It's about 6 GB and it's going to add all your commandlets, whatever you have it here. You can just normally run the things. So let's say, I'm sorry, you can come here and you can say get date. Okay. This will list out the date, what you have it. Okay. I mean the machine where it's getting run as such. And it will also give you the VM status all. You can check it here. Get hyphen Azure RM VM. Okay. And you can say status. I'm sorry, status. So we have a couple of VMs which are running. You should get the status here. Can you find this? Oh, I have a Puppet machine as well. Okay. Yeah, you can find it here. A lab VM which is running. Okay. And a Eureka VM as well, which is running here. Further, you can work with your subscription all. You can just give directory. It will list out all the subscriptions that you have. Okay. And you can give your subscription name. You can switch over towards your subscription. You can add the virtual machines. You can do all these things using PowerShell. Sorry, the Cloud Shell. So that's why we use Cloud Shell. Okay, so you can find it on the screen. You can use Cloud Shell either with a Bash or with a PowerShell environment, and you can put it on a cloud drive. The file share which I showed you, it creates a resource group, it creates a storage account and a file share, and you can use even the existing resource. Instead of creating a storage account, you can even go with an existing storage account. Okay, so you can mount the files that you have here. So that's what we have it as cloud drive. You can try with the cloud drive command, and you can mount the files giving the subscription. We don't have any files now, so we are not mounting it. Okay, and you can unmount the same. Further, we have this download all these things. Okay, you can just go to the Azure portal. See here, we have it here, right? So you can get into the options what you have, and you can add the directory. You can download the files. Okay, you can click here, and you can say, wait, let me scroll down. See, we have download. You can download it. So this is an image. Whatever you run it here, it gets loaded up. Okay. Any questions? Any questions on Cloud Shell? Well, Imran, Monish, Anshul, and Mektar, are you all there? Imran and Anshul? Right. Okay. Just make sense about this Cloud Shell and let me know if you have any questions. Okay. If not, we ought to end up with this topic for today. So as a summary, we were working with this PowerShell using all the REST APIs. So REST APIs in the sense, it's like, for example, monisha.blob.co.windows.net, right? So that's a REST what we have. So we were working with installing the modules for PowerShell regarding the resource manager, creating groups, creating your PowerShell scripts to start the VM, stop the VM, okay, all those things, and finally with the Cloud Shell. So by that we come to the end for this module. Okay, let me know if you have any questions, and please go with the hands-on what we have it here. Okay, REST API is Imran. What you have it here is called REST API. See, for example, I will go for I'll go for this Edureka. Okay, and this is what REST is about. REST is it's a URL based one. So take any of these things. Take this storage account. This is what we call it as REST. You go to the blob. We have this, right? You get into this, you will get a REST API here. See URL. So I will put it on stickies here. Can you find this? Edureka diag.blob.co.windows.net. That's REST. That's what we call it as REST. Okay. Hi, Mektar. Any big data training in Azure? You're asking about Hadoop, all these things, right? Uh, can you give me one day of time, Mektar? I will check with if the Edureka is doing that. I will check with them. If not, I will help you out to navigate on some other ways. Is that okay? Mektar, not about Edureka. So what else you're asking about, Mektar? Monisha, that was the maximum documentation which we had for Azure Functions. Okay, if not, I need to work with a step-by-step tutorial for that. Okay, probably I don't have the time for it. I will ask someone to prepare it and I will send it to you, Monisha. It was about Azure Functions, okay, which is a customized one. So I need to prepare the document for that. We don't have it any links which has been already provided by Microsoft as such. Oh, is it? But this has nothing about big data. Nectar, can you just drop me a mail, please? regarding this, or write this for support@edureka.co. Okay, write regarding this to support@edureka.co. Web service to send an email that the file is received. Did you try Logic Apps, Monisha? You don't need to go for web apps. Instead, you can put it on a Logic Apps itself. You're going to receive the file on the storage account, right? Yeah, so better you get connected with Logic Apps. You say that if the file is getting retrieved on storage account, you need to call the storage account connector. And by the next one, you just call the Outlook or Gmail, whatever. Okay. Victor, drop me the mail as soon as possible. Okay, I'll speak with the Edureka team as well. Okay. Other training to learn big data in Azure, that's what I need to check with Victor. I don't know whether Edureka is doing something on Azure for big data as such. We need to check with these guys. Web service on Azure. Which platform you're looking for, Monisha? You can deploy the same using Service Fabric as well. I have a knowledge of deploying it with ASP.NET only as a web API, where I'll be having it as a WPF application and then I can deploy it. That's what I have done. But the simple way is that, well, in that case, you need to, I mean, web service in the sense you can go with the ASP.NET one. Probably do one thing. You have Azure code samples. Just search for it. It can fulfill your requirement. Just give me 1 second, guys, please. Yeah. Monisha, see, whatever is there on the Azure, I mean, certification track, we have the documents ready. We can send it as soon as you ask it. But things which are customized on the requirements, we need to get some time to prepare for it, Monisha. Web service with storage, right? So we have for Java as well. Okay. See, storage connections for web apps. You check this. Okay, this should work. Probably this might be the exact one which can work for you as a service fabric would be a better option. Any other questions? Imran, Anshul, Anshul has left. Okay, fine. So let's close with this for the day. Imran, you should be super excited for tomorrow where we are going to discuss about DevOps. Okay, not in detail, but still. Oh, I guess it's by next week. Sorry, not by tomorrow. Tomorrow is about web applications. Okay, so by the next Saturday, you should be super excited to go with DevOps. We'll be speaking about DevOps. Okay, that's the last module what we have. Right. Let me know if you have any other questions. If not, we can close for the day. Sure, sure, Imran. Anytime. That's fine. Thanks, Imran. Any other questions, Monisha and Mektar? Okay, fine. So let's close with this for the day. Okay, let's join tomorrow for the web applications. So that's another small module where we will be speaking about the key vault, adding Azure Active Directory, having multi-factor authentication, all those things. Okay, so let's join for that by tomorrow. Meanwhile, let me know in case if you guys have any questions. Okay, right. Thanks for joining, guys. See you tomorrow then.